Hello, and welcome to the National Parents Union. I am Kelly Williams Bolar, and this is the Parent Effect. And I'm so excited today. I have someone I have grown near and dear with. Her name is Gwen Samuel. Are you there, Gwen? Is she there?
Uh-oh. Something's happened.
Gwen, hi.
Hi, can y'all see me? Oh, there you go. Hello,
Yes.
my sister from Ohio. How are you?
Hey. And my sister from Connecticut. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm blessed to be here today with all of you, with all your social media out there. And we about to talk about the parent effect. And I am in.
That's right. I got a little nervous, and when I went to say your name, I think I combined Gwen and Samuel together.
Oh yeah, you made all kinds of names up. It's okay. That's what sisters do. Okay, that's what sisters do.
Okay, no, I'm so excited. I have my friend Gwen Samuel. I want to give a great introduction and let people know. You live in Connecticut. You were the original Connecticut Parent Union founder. Oh my gosh, when I first met you, you were ready for the fight. And I'm just excited to have you on. How have you been doing? I believe we are in our 14th, 15th week of this pandemic. How have you been coming along?
Well, at least you can still figure out the calendar. These days have blurred in, but I'll tell you that they might be blurring, but we are sure paying attention to the government and to the status quo when it comes to education in our children. And I think you kind of softened how we met. I mean, because we met in 2011 unofficially.
Yes.
On phone, on the emails,
yes,
for like several years when we had the arrest of a young lady named Tanya McDowell in Connecticut. And they were like, got to meet this lady named Kelly. This was in 2011. We weren't even 30 days old.
Yes.
Before all this thing. They said, you got to meet this lady Kelly. You got to meet this lady Kelly. And then I heard your story and I was mad all day, every day. Happy, sad, mad, all at the same time.
So, I was going at that time. I remember going through such a dark, deep place, and depression. And I remember the day that you called me. I think we kind of like got introduced via email.
Right.
Changed numbers. You called me. We talked for a very long time. Then I had a meeting in New York City.
Yes.
So that was our first time actually meeting. You caught a transit or train over, and we got a chance to actually, build, and we got a picture of that on our Facebook wall.
Right. And it's interesting because when we were because we were with the justice organization that handled your case, the Ohio, what was it? The Ohio Social Justice Policy.
Yes,
what was
yes,
it called? So
that was it.
That was it. So I remember when we were sitting in the room in New York, they were like, well, y'all so close. So how long have y'all been knowing each other? I said, we just met today. Yep. And I said, right, right. And they were like, you just met today. I said, but that's the awesomeness of God, right? And to me, that's the parent effect, right? That's the power of parents, right? Effecting change, affecting change, right? In education. And it's a tragedy because it's always sad when we see that the laws disproportionately target Black and brown parents when it comes to justice in education. And then I knew that I was going to be your lifelong sister. I got to meet your daughters. God rest you. God bless your dad. God rest his soul, who went on this journey with you for educational justice
and died in jail behind all of that. Absolutely, everything I do is in him, in thought of him, in memory of him, because he was a good man, and he always wanted justice. He fought for justice, and he knew that we were getting unjust. I mean, just not even with him, but just in life in general. And you know what? We are 13% of the population, but yet we are like 60% of people in the penitentiary and jail. Something's wrong with those numbers.
And the school to prison pipeline, you name it, achievement gap, opportunity gap, the other gap over there, we don't even got a name for because every day they have a flavor of the month gap. So whatever it is, we are disproportionately targeted. And that is why I think this is the awesomeness of your show. Because it was because of Tanya McDowell in Connecticut being unjustly arrested. It was because of your story that the Connecticut Parents Union, like you said, an organization I founded in 2011 to protect the educational rights of children by working with their families. It was because of that that we fought from 2011 until 2013 until Connecticut changed the law and you can no longer felony arrest parents. And see, that's the power of parents. That's not this old, I hate to say it, parent empowerment has such a feel good thing about it. I'm talking about parents in power.
Yeah.
We
And then
fought, we were consistent. Yes.
And people must realize that we can do something, we can move something when we do things in numbers. We have to organize and get together and do things in a strategic way so we can get policies changed and laws changed. Because it was I believe it was 6 states that can send you to jail or incarcerate you or charge you, or and so yours is one of the first ones that yes. And what year was that? That it was
2013 when Governor Malloy signed it into law to stop the felony arrest.
Yes, and that's a huge start, and we still have more, and we have still Ohio. That should be in that agenda as well.
And Philly too, right? Think about Philly, Hamlet. Think about how we stood with Hamlet Garcia in Philadelphia, and he lived in the district, right? And your dad owned this house. See, the taxpayers and those listening, and parents that are listening, and to lawmakers that may be listening, and we know the status quo. We know you listening because we know you concerned about the parent effect, and you should be. You're not going to keep doing what you want to our children. But if you remember Hamlet, he lived in that district. Hamlet has been fighting since he was arrested and his wife was arrested, and the whole country was on trial with him. Shout out to Senator Romero. Right? We were all in Philadelphia, all just fighting these laws. And now Hamlet is fighting this law in Philadelphia. So we got to work on Ohio, but Philadelphia has a bill. But Hamlet's out here alone. So Philly parents, I know we're going through a lot, but you need to organize. We are here with you. You need to stop these unjust laws, right? Because we can't be the only crime that you and Tanya commit was loving your children. Imagine that.
Exactly. Imagine that. And we can't look at it as, well, that's happening to them, so it doesn't affect me. It does affect you. It affects all of us, and it affects our children. As they become young adults and they're trying to have greatness in their lives. So, I think a lot of times parents look at it like, especially Black parents, because we try our best not to deal with things. We're just trying to work. We're just trying to be parents.
We're just trying to
exactly. We're trying to survive. So we always a lot of times we turn a blind eye. When that happened to me, let me tell you something. I truly thought about Rosa. The same scenario happened to her when she was on the bus. Right. Okay, Rosa Parks, when she was on the bus. Okay, the whole scenario, the whole story. I never paid attention to her story as much as I did after what happened to me, because I could identify with the community, with her family members, how people looked at her and thought, you did so wrong. You broke the law. You wouldn't let that man have your seat. They thought that when she stood up for her rights, for herself, they thought that, now all this corruption is getting ready to happen. All this chaos is getting ready to happen in our community. Guess what? The same scenario happened in my hometown, where it was like they thought it was disruptive. They seen Reverend Al Sharpton coming in. I remember him stating when he was at the airport, at the Cleveland Hopkins Airport, and they said to him, "Oh, you're just here to stir trouble." He was like, "No, I'm not. I'm here to show justice. I'm here because this woman was unjustly done." Right. So we have to get out of that. We have to get out of that thinking, okay, it's your problem. It's only you. It affects everyone. When someone is done unjust, it's unjust to everyone. And you can be white, and it's still, if you see unjust, speak on it.
Because at this point, like Martin Luther King said, right? Silence is betrayal. I'm paraphrasing. Silence is betrayal. Yeah. And it's interesting. See, I've gotten to listen to your story. I know during that time, your house had been broken into. I know the dangers your daughters used to work to school. It was safety and a quality education.
Absolutely.
And see where I'm a different with Al Sharpton. If I show up, yeah, I'm about to start trouble because you're not gonna keep doing what you want. So even though he didn't say he was starting trouble, remember we got to meet him at the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yes.
And when we had, oh, he was on this radio show talking to you. And
Yes.
that's why I'm going to go back to why your title of your program, Parent Effect. See, we just didn't complain about what happened to you. We just didn't complain and cry, right? We
Right.
looked at solutions to the injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was by looking at solutions. So I say that to any parent that's listening, anyone that's going through something. See, they expect us to march, cry, and march some more.
And that's
We
it.
have to understand the power of public policy. In order
Mm-hmm.
for us to stop what happened to Tanya McDowell, to stop what happened to you, we had to look at public policy. And that's
Yes.
what we're going to have to look at during this crazy, uncharted pandemic, the protests, right? We are why we always have to die for
To
somebody to want to,
to to
yes,
see something that's not right or something that's unjust, and that's the system.
right. And
The
that's why,
system.
that's
Go
right.
ahead.
No, you're right. It's the system. But we keep being all shocked by the system. I never forget coming into this world. I tried to work with the teachers' unions. I met Randy Weingarten. I met Lily Eskerson. I broke bread with both of them. I tried to work across the aisle, but I'm like with James Baldwin. We can disagree. We can disagree. We can do it in love until your disagreement is rooted in. I'm paraphrasing. Is grounded in my oppression
Right.
until it's grounded into my harm, into my not being able to exist.
That's
And
right.
many of these laws, that's why it's the system. The system is dangerous. And this
Yeah.
even now.
Broken. Mm-hmm.
We're marching, we're crying, we're marching. Now it's time to look at public policy. And that's why
Let's go to the board. That's right. Let's get the paper out. Let's start the
that's
signature.
right.
Let's
That's
get
what
things changed. Let's
that's
get
right.
things changed. And I've never seen so much. Now I'm in Ohio, and I'm looking. I get on my timeline, and now I honestly I don't look forward to getting on my timeline as I used to, because a lot of things, and it's a lot of things on a racial point is filling up my timeline, and a lot of it is in Ohio, and I'm like, wow, because it's bringing out a lot of emotions in everyone,
Right.
and
And raw
everything.
emotions. You're right. Not just
Raw.
normal, right. We're talking uncut, unsanitized emotions. And
Yeah.
there's a breaking point. And it's sad to say that another black person, right? You got the Breonna Taylor, you got the
Mm-hmm.
George Floyds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, why do we always have to die? And but the dangers, why we have to look at this in totality and not just police brutality alone.
Right.
We have to figure out what made this officer feel comfortable enough to kill this man in broad daylight.
Yes.
And then
With
as
three
you
other officers that
standing
were so tamed, that
there.
they were tamed.
Yeah.
No one disrupted, no one interfered. They all was like, okay. And they got people screaming and yelling at them. Now, the latest, in Los Angeles, there's this Puerto Rican boy, I'm sorry, Hispanic young man. He was only 18. He was a security guard. Did you hear about that?
Was that did they kill the guy? No, I don't want to
Yes.
speculate. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And his mother, they're going crazy right now. They killed him, said he had a gun. They said he doesn't even have a gun. And as a security guard, they said he didn't even have a gun. Now, I don't know all the what everything is, all the everything, but what I do know is they are very upset. And I want to lightweight believe, them, because they're like, he was a security guard, and you guys they just totally murdered him. But see, the thing about it was, the question is, they took all the cameras out.
It's always convenient. See, that's why we shouldn't be. Look, you
They
see
took
all
the
this
cameras.
you see all that secret society stuff. My state got so many secrets. Why
Yeah.
you gotta work with that public education in secret? I don't know
Right.
what secret you got, but we as black parents have to draw the line at some point.
Mm-hmm.
When we understand compulsory education laws say we must send them, but I have yet find that law that says you must put your babies in harm way. That
No,
part of the law I haven't seen because it doesn't exist,
it
but
doesn't
their
exist.
actions imply. So we need to be thinking about reopening. When we think about opening these schools, some of us ain't going back. See, people
No,
think it's just a pandemic. These racial tensions
it's
are
serious.
so, yes,
Because there's
they are heightened.
a lot of
Yes.
them are teachers. A lot of them, when I'm looking at certain things that's on my timeline, and then as you go down, you'll read it and then say, well, that was a teacher
See
in
what
the
I'm saying?
community. So
This is what
how are you that hateful that you would verbally, say something to someone, a slur, whatever, and you are teaching many children,
well, then
different.
that's on us then. See, you know what? See how you said that? Malcolm X says, only a fool will let the enemy educate our children.
That's right.
See,
You're not gonna get it.
but the fear, right? But many of us, we're trying to be law-abiding citizens, right? We send our baby, but think about it. We had to, there was disobedience during the civil rights era because the laws were unjust. So the question we as parents, I don't care if you Black, Spanish, have special needs, if the law is unjust and it hurts your children, at what point do you put your child first?
Right.
Because many of these kids, I say this, my kids get upset with me. I believe in my heart these kids will grow up to hate us because
Yes.
they say, Mama, you knew
You knew.
school hurt me.
You knew it.
Knew. And these teachers are protected. How do public servants have immunity? I learned from a group, a think tank. People don't like them because they're conservative in my state. But that I learned more from this conservative group about contracts. So I'm
Yes.
wondering, like, why is there a black employee caucus standing up for black kids, like brown kids, like why in the poor? Why? Because they done signed, they done entered our governors and these elected officials have entered into contracts with many of these unions that give them immunity for
Mm.
momming our baby. Oh, so I'm like, okay, if you got immunity, then you might as well miss my black child. If I knew what I knew now, child have been living at the Department of Children and Families Child Welfare because you couldn't pay me to
Right.
send my
And
child. But we don't know. We don't know.
now let the people know. See, I know what immunity is, but maybe some don't. Explain to them what that means.
All I know as a layman that you can't get in trouble. You
That's
can
it.
molest children.
That's
You
it.
can do excessive force. That
That's it.
guy. Think about this. I was listening to Dick Gregory. My son sent me. My son, I have grandbabies. Trust me, they want a problem with me. That's what my grandbabies. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there
And I
for the
love the
world.
greater. Yeah, I love
But
him. We
you know, but
with a
Dick
crystal.
Gregory said something. The status quo, or those who have immunity, who have taken advantage of their oath, you got to have some kind of hate inside of you to risk losing everything. See, we keep thinking it's just this officer that killed George Floyd. He has
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
He hated black people so much. He
Mm-hmm.
risked his pension, even though he'll still get $1 million. That's why these unjust contracts got to go.
Yes.
He'll still, right? But he put his family at risk. He put everybody at risk for his individual choice to play judge, jury, and
Fury.
executioner.
That's absolutely.
And that happens in our classrooms across America every single day.
Single day.
Report after report
You know
says,
how many young kids, and you know how many, yes, and you know how many young kids tell me that teacher said I wasn't going to be nothing. I wasn't going to amount to anything. I wasn't this, I wasn't that. You know, that stays with you. You can't tell a child that. And I mean, these are kids that we're dealing with, impressionable children that take everything that a teacher, we look at these teachers, you have to look at them as a high standard that they're teachers.
exactly.
And then you say certain things to children, and then you totally just mess up their whole little world inside, and then become a young adult, and they think I'm not going to be anything.
But that's why we got to look at why, right? Why was that cop able to have 18 complaints of excessive force? You know why? He knew somebody was going to protect him.
And been in the force for 19 years. So basically, you have one every year.
Every year, he just.
And don't forget when his mugshot. That mugshot, the first one, everybody was like, no, because he had already been in trouble. That mugshot was 10 years. That mugshot was about a 10-year earlier mugshot. So he had been in trouble previous. So they had to update and send out the new. Did you notice that? They had
I know nothing.
The first mugshot they sent out, he was younger. Okay. Then they had to redo it over, make sure it was a current one, because everyone was like, his widow's peak has receded, and it's thin. You could just see different things, attributes that have been, as he aged. So yeah. So he had been in trouble before, like you said. He had been on the service for 19 years. 18 of that 19, he got in trouble. That's a lot.
And he was protected. And these judges protected.
So he felt comfortable enough to take a life.
Exactly.
And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. And it's really sad because we have such great, awesome, we do have good policemen. Now, I can't take, we have great policemen. We
have great teachers, right? We get
and that. We have great teachers and administrators that come into our classrooms, and they are there for a purpose. And that is the future of the next generation of children. So we're not taking that away. That's not what we're saying.
But what we should take away, go ahead, say it again. I'll back it up. What were you about to say? I'm sorry. I got all excited.
No. I was just going to say, but what we are talking about today is the teachers and the police officers and the people that serve our community that are here in ill will. Like we gotta filter those individuals out. They got to get out. Find a different way. Like you said, how long does it take to become a doctor? You have to first start off with your 4 years of science or biology. Then you have to go and do all this extra training. But to walk around with a gun, you only need a few weeks of training.
18 complaints and had a gun. But here's what it is. I also push back against some of this training. Even Martin Luther King said you can't legislate morality. You can't make these folk like black folk. They can go to training all day. They be calling us N-words, going in the class, take the class and call us N-words going out the class. You can't legislate the heart. That's why we have to look at who is protecting these folk, these bad apples, right? And then parents, some of this on us too now. You can't come into the knowledge of knowing what's happening. You can't start to understand the system and then still send your babies. Now I understand fear. I'm afraid every day. They target me, so I should get stock in my state. But at some point, I also felt guilty. I felt that I failed my children by not knowing.
Me too.
By not knowing how the system worked. But no, we shouldn't. That's why when it comes to reopening, we need to really look at school choice in a different lens. Education freedom needs to be the new norm because we have a new norm. We are in a fiscal tsunami. So for those who think, everything's going to bounce back, newsflash, we are in a new norm. You need to pay attention to this money that's coming to every state. It's going to be, unless they choose not to get any type of CARE Act money, that's the one-time federal dollars. Follow where that money is going, right? Ask for other options, parents. If you don't feel comfortable sending your baby, if your baby say they're not comfortable going back, do not send them. But that doesn't mean you have to still make an educational plan.
And isn't it ironic? Isn't it ironic that my whole plight, Tanya's plight, Garcia's plight was choice, and then this fall, wait, and now this fall, they have to give parents choice.
Exactly.
Isn't that ironic? Isn't that the irony? Isn't that the irony of certain things? That's how the world rotates. You understand?
That's the awesomeness of God. And again, I get the tragedies, but the word of God also says he used the foolish things to confound the wise, right? And so here we are, a tragedy of a pandemic. It is a shame that a deadly pandemic and our protests will be the only way that parents be able to access educational freedom to do what's best for their children. And the teachers don't want to show up in the class. I don't blame them. Nobody want to be safe. But if you don't want to show up in the class and the kids don't want to go, you're going to have to look at other educational opportunities. And every mental health worker out there, I know this joke, girl, I get to go off. Go ahead. I get to get off.
No. I mean, no, you're good. You're good. We're going back and forth. But I'm thinking, the PE's already out. They can't do PE, which is physical ed. You can't congregate at lunch time. There's all those things have already been eliminated. So like you said, the look is going to be completely different. And I know a lot of parents that are financially secure and able, they're already going to say, well, we're just going to have our children home. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And it's
just like the ladies, I mean to cut off, like the nerve, like the privileged actresses and actors who are paying all that money. That's what privilege do when you try
Woo!
to buy your way into college.
Let me tell
Don't even believe in your own children's ability. You trying to buy your way into college. Here you are trying to keep your daughter safe and trying to make sure that they access a quality education, and you get convicted and they spend millions because they have the ability to do so.
you to do so.
Two different stories, but I'm just throwing
Yeah.
it in how
Well, you
privileged.
know what? You know what? When the first one, not the second one, the first lady, oh gosh, can't even think of her name right now. The first one, when she stood before the judge for her sentencing, um, you know, of course, he was saying, wait, check this out. Time magazine, one of the editors was on the phone with me, and she was telling me step by step what was happening inside of the courtroom. Now, mind you, when all that first happened, I didn't really connect the two. I didn't like connect my situation with their situation. I just didn't. But I had a gentleman from New York. He was calling me late, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. He was like, Kelly, you know, you're what is that in Twitter? You're like in a feed.
Right,
Yeah, you're trending. I'm like, trending? What? And he was like, no, really, you're trending. I was like, it's gotta be something old. It gotta be something old. And he was like, no, it's now, right now. And so a few days later, you know, it was still steady going. And I was like, wow. And then I was like, okay, I can, you know, then I started realizing and understanding it is all entwined. And so when she was being sentenced, and was it Locklear? Yeah, I think it was her. She was being sentenced, and the judge was getting ready just to let her go, and the attorneys, the prosecutors stated to him, "We can't, because in the case of Kelly Williams Bolar, you must give this person something, because if you don't, this is not equality. This is not equal justice. You know." Even though, you know, whatever she got is whatever she got, you know, but like you said, you know, you have to.
Just shows you how unjust the system is, right? If you're a person of color, if you're a child of color. Our job, I just realized the turmoil that's happening is even bigger than in Ferguson. Even my state is like, we need to look at these public policies. And that's all I'm looking at. Now, for the last 90 days, I'm looking at public policies that can help us access educational freedom here, because you're not going to keep being able to have immunity. You're not going to keep being able to molest our children, do all this weird stuff and still get a paycheck. And then weaponize child welfare if we don't show up. That's why we need mental health workers, because we need to talk to. Look, children with special needs, they just got totally overlooked during the whole pandemic, during the whole protest. These babies haven't got even a fraction of the services that they are entitled to
They shut that down. They shut that down so fast. Like, that was one of the last things. I have so many parents that have called me that their child has IEPs, and, you know, and they need help, and they weren't getting the help that they were getting, that they thought they were getting during when the schools were open. So this is big. This is really,
it's very big. And I'll tell you one thing that is so, you can't even make it up. So when the pandemic first happened, everywhere you look, whether it's on Twitter, oh, we're trying to reach the families, we can't reach them. I'm like, listen here, stop playing. You couldn't reach them when they were in your classroom. Why y'all playing? You know? And so they all shocked. We can't get through what you couldn't get through before.
You're right.
And then now, that's why we need lawyers. So shout out to attorney Nakima Armstrong in Minneapolis, handling her business. We need to find civil rights attorneys across the state, because we will need them when we make a concerted effort to not send our babies back. Okay,
that's right.
So they need
to be they need to be starting now. Get in place.
Yep.
Because this summer is not gonna. It's gonna go by really fast.
Look, I'm out here looking for churches with empty basements, empty classrooms. When I hang up here, I got another call with a church in New Haven. I'm like, do you got some rooms for us to do some after school program, do some morning program? These babies ain't going back, especially with this tension here.
Yeah.
These teachers is mad, okay?
Yeah,
these folk is mad, not just teachers. I'm sorry, we got the good ones who care about the cause, but I have to talk to those who care about the cause. When you know you got a bad apple, someone molesting a child, you know all this crazy stuff happening in your school, and you don't say nothing, you just as complicit.
That's
Send
right.
a dove, send a message by a pigeon, send a anonymous, do something.
Do
Stop
something.
acting like I couldn't do it. My hands were tied. Well, then
Right.
let me untie your hands in some of these contracts. Then I bet you your hands become untied. Then ain't nobody playing. See, we got to
That's,
stop playing with the status quo when it comes to our children.
yes.
I can't tell you
Yes.
what to do with your babies, but I can tell you what you're not about to do to ours.
To
That's
ours.
what I
That's
say.
right. Unapologetic. Unapologetic.
Don't start none, won't be none. That's what they say.
That's what they say. Gwen, tell the people how many children you have.
So
Are on.
I have 4 children. I have my last one. She's 18. She has 2 credits left, so we're dealing with some
Woo!
family dynamics. No, because she wanted to graduate with her class, but she was short with some credits. And I had to tell her about what TD Jake said. TD Jake said, "Your diploma never tells you how long it took to get it. It just
Yes,
shows
sir.
you the date you graduated."
You just got it.
And
That's
so,
right.
but for children, the high school is their world. And I get it. I want to minimize her emotions and feelings,
Right.
but I got one more, then I got grandbabies. So now I got to worry about the grandbabies.
That's
So
right.
that's
That's right.
why I'm just doing my part before I hang up my hand my baton to the next generation. I ain't trying to be no 1,000-year-old NAACP member. I'm not one now. I used to be.
Well,
But
the thing of it is that you inspire me, Gwen. You give me so much more energy. I can be depleted and talk to you and be fully charged all over again and ready to do it all over again. You have something so uniquely special about yourself. Now, before we end this, before we go, I always like to give thanks to the people who tune in because they don't have to. You know,
right.
they can be doing anything in the world. It's so much going on right now across our globe that they can be doing anything in the world. And then they come on and they watch me and they watch who I'm talking to, people as beautiful as you are, and they listen to what we're talking about, you know? So I always just want to give grace and thanks and just so much, just grateful for my listeners and for the viewers, even if it's 10 minutes that you come on. I don't know. I don't look at
Exactly.
analytics, but you stop by to see what we're talking about. So I always want to say thank you to the audience. Before we go, Gwen, tell the people, what is it that you want to see change within the next, before 2020 is out? And I know voting is definitely something you probably really want to engage
Right.
in. Go ahead.
Number one, parents, it's important for us to know those are our children. In my house, I got the stretch marks of puberty, okay? So these are our children. They're trusting us to make solid, informed decisions.
Mm-hmm,
And that
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean you have to be an expert or a scholar, right? You just know you got to protect your babies by any means necessary. And that just
that's right.
is what it is. Those are your children who are trusting you. Number two, these schools reopening, it can't do anything without you. Because if you don't send your babies, they have no schools. Okay. So you make sure you are part of those plans. And if you don't feel comfortable sending them, don't send them. But you
Mm-hmm.
must make an educational plan. And that's why I'm asking you to join with me in this fight for educational freedom. If you got a great charter school, fight to preserve it, to protect them, and to expand them. If you have other opportunities and they're working for you, fight to preserve and protect them, because if you don't, if you stay silent, you're going to wake up and that choice opportunity will be gone, because the status quo and the devil don't sleep. So all
Mm,
I can say is we need to not sleep. But I take that back. We need to get rest with self-care, but we need to work together. One thing I learned about the New Jersey bail back in the day when they did a training in Connecticut,
mm-hmm.
we have to be like we're in a relay. When I'm
Right.
sleepy and tired or worn out, I should be able to say, "Kelly, this is what's on the table. I'm passing the baton to you so I can get some rest." Then you do that part of the leg, and then you get some rest. And then you reach out to Carrie Rodriguez in Massachusetts, or you
That's,
reach out to whoever in different states, right?
that's right.
But whatever it is, we must
You have
always be on our game. In other words, parent effect is in effect.
is
Okay?
in effect.
That's
Is
what
in
I'm saying.
effect. Now, how can they thank you? Whew! Yes. How can they contact you? How can they follow you? What resources do you have for them so they can know that they can follow you on Twitter or social media? What do you have?
So you can always visit me on Facebook, Gwen Samuel. I also have Real Talk Gwen Samuel. I'm still trying to brand myself. Y'all don't do it that well. So visit me at Gwen Samuel. We have the Facebook Connecticut Parents Union. On Twitter, I'm Real Talk Gwen Samuel. And I'm always going to be real talk when it comes to these babies. And I just started Instagram, y'all. Y'all got to look. It's only been like a couple of days, but I'm working it out. I'm working it out.
That's okay. And you
Yeah.
and again, real quick, you said you have your own talk. You do Gwen Talk.
Oh, that's right. Y'all join me every Wednesday. I'm going to be calling a segment called Woke Wednesday. And each day I'll be coming with a solution. It starts this Wednesday, and the show is called Podcast Real Talk with Gwen Samuel. And so it
Right.
starts this Wednesday. Stay tuned. I'll keep you all posted. And Kelly, my sister, I just want you to know I thank you for your courage. I thank you for continuing the fight. I remember how you were depressed and you were going through things. You lost your, no one knows what if you lose your daddy like that. No
Mm-mm.
one knew your dad until the
No.
status quo wanted to prove a point.
Right. No.
And then for those in Philly, last quick but thing, you got Hamlet Garcia. Excuse me. Excuse me. He's out there fighting to change your school, to reform your zip code laws. Reach out to Hamlet Garcia. That's his name. There is a bill. You have a bill in Philly. It's dormant now, but
Right.
you have a bill.
But you
Fight
have
to
a bill.
change the right. Fight to change the law for you be next. And then you're
Tweet
gonna wish
him.
you had changed the law.
Contact Hamlet Garcia. Tweet Hamlet Garcia, and he will get back with you because
Yes.
he's ready for He's ready for change.
Yep.
Thank you, Gwen Samuel. Thank you so much for coming on the Parent Effect.
All right.
I want you back. I want you back.
Yes, because we got work to do. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let us know real quick if you're from a different state and you're tuning in, whether it's now or later now, just shout your name out. Put your name in the comment section, not your name, or maybe just your city or your state. Let us know where you're at. Let the world know. Let the status quo know. If you come for our children, stand up. Because if you come for our children, you're about to have a problem. That's what they need to know. So
that's why we created. That's why the National Parent Union was created. So you have a voice. We have parents, and parents, you have rights. Maybe you didn't know you had rights. You have more rights than you realize, because I know I didn't know. So, but yeah, I know my time is so up now.
I know. We are so done. Love you. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.